Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio, and we are here today with Brian Knox. He is from Naples, Florida, where it's a little chilly. It's in the 40s, he reported today, and that is pretty cold for Florida. Let's bring Brian on.
Hi,
Hello.
Debbie. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. We've not really spoken before, but we're in a mastermind together, which is super fun. And last week when we were on the mastermind, you just said a few things, and I said, he's my next guest. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
really to dive in because it looks like you've only been in this business 5 years, but it looks like you're doing amazing. And you definitely have the mindset and the accountability that realtors need to succeed. So I'm super excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words.
You're welcome. All right. So, Brian is for Brian Knox, real estate is more than just transactions. It's a highly personalized concierge level experience that exceeds expectations. Raised in Southwest Florida and honed by New York City's fast paced business environment, Brian blends local insight with sharp strategy and technology expertise. His intuitive, detail oriented approach ensures every client enjoys a seamless, bespoke selling experience. By focusing on meaningful connections, Brian consistently aligns the right strategies, listings, and buyers to deliver extraordinary results. That's very impressive. So many of the realtors that I've interviewed come from all different backgrounds. Some started into real estate, but one person was on the SWAT team. There are many teachers. There are people who started in healthcare and fitness. How did you get started in real estate? Was it your first career, or did you have careers before real estate?
It's a great question. Directly, I had careers prior to real estate. Naturally, I think once I graduated college, I went into fundraising and learned a lot about how to ask for money. And fundraising is very much similar to, I think, the environment we see here today in real estate. It's nurturing relationships. You don't start day one by asking somebody for $100,000. You most likely get 99 no's out of 100. But that led me to New York City in a career really wanting to start in sales and start at the bottom. So really starting with these startup companies where funding was coming into play, Series A to Series C, and I wanted to start at entry level. So a sales development role and really understanding, okay, here's a large sum of money. It goes into sales and marketing. How do we make the sales role hyper efficient? And the specialty was first sales development, understanding how to qualify potential prospects, understanding how to prospect, understanding how to build a territory as well, but then navigate someone through the full sales cycle. And that evolution in multiple roles, four different companies, three of them ending in some kind of an event, so being acquired, and that just kind of got my mind. I've always been in entrepreneurial roles. Both my parents are entrepreneurs, so that's ingrained within me, and just having, right, the skill set to understand, to push through, right? Finding a way to get things done, because you're either choosing an excuse or you're choosing a way. And that really, New York taught me a lot, and that led me into, why am I elevating above the corporate ladder? And I had to really ask myself, is this what I wanted to do? Or do I want to go scratch this itch of doing it on my own? And I did that. I was motivated to move back. The colder weather in New York City was kind of getting to me. I grew up in Naples, Florida. So over 300 days out of the year, it's sunny and 90 degrees. So I had made the decision to move back to really start. The vision was a consulting company for lead generation and conversion for real estate agents. So having a
Okay.
deep knowledge around the sales funnel and the nuances of it. And in order to scale that business, I had to get my license to get paid ethically. And at the same time, I was having a conversation with my brother. I have a twin brother,
Oh,
and he had been in real estate and he was having some challenges with his brokerage. And I said, hey, you should really check out Compass. I think they would be a really good fit for your personality. And he had 3 days later, he made the move over to Compass. Naturally, Once I got my license in October 2019, we had an organic conversation, and it just the synergies we have different sets of strengths. So I'm more of the growth operator behind the scenes, and Jason's more your traditional agent. So it works very well for us, where 1 + 1 = 3.
That's awesome. No, it's very helpful when you're, and I was going to ask if you're on a team, but you work with your brother. My husband and I work together and it really works. We're different and we balance each other out. And it helps when you're part of a family. It's hard. And I've seen partnerships fall apart that weren't family. It's a little hard.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
how is it working with your brother? And so, yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Most days it's great. I think when you're with a sibling or a partner, it can be challenging. You can have your different sets, your different viewpoints, your different opinions on the same topic. And I think it's important just to focus on communication and creating environments where each other can feel safe to communicate their point of view. No one's right or wrong, and come up with a collective solution to move forward.
Yep. No, I agree. It is 100% all about communication. Absolutely. If you don't have communication and aren't having meetings regular, things will just fall through the cracks. I really agree with that. So how do you set yourself apart? There are so many real estate agents. We're on a mastermind with people all over the country. I know there's a lot of realtors in New York and Miami, well, all over Florida and just all over. So how do you set yourself apart? I know when I was listening to you on our mastermind, I just like that day of, I don't know, 25 of us, you just really stood out. So I want to hear it from you. How do you set yourself apart in this crazy business?
I think it's in this business, I think it's important, one, to be your authentic self to begin with.
Hmm.
There's a lot of how-to stuff out there, and I think you can get lost in the how-to. And I think it's important to really understand who you are, and being your authentic self, because this business is built on relationships, or I've learned it's all built on relationships, and you're always going to connect with the tribe you're meant to connect with. So really having that abundance mindset around it and the energy to connect. I think for me, I have this vision around what the modern real estate advisor is. So being in previous industries, especially the education industry, and seeing how complex it is, um, archaic and kind of set in the ways, and being part of a technology company that was transforming the students experience. I think I see that in real estate here today as well, where the consumer's experience with an agent is changing and evolving very fast. I think NAR settlement has something to do with that, where we as agents are going to elevate the experience. So this approach to kind of the modern advisory role, I think it's advisory itself. I think it's a consultative process in understanding it's all about the client. I do not care about a transaction. I think that can be difficult early on in your real estate career because this is a tough business. It's definitely the hardest industry I've ever been in. And once you can navigate to be comfortable where you're not chasing a transaction, to say no, say yes, and really focusing on building those relationships. I think that helps me separate myself. I think also I love growth. I love technology. Strategy is important to me, very much so. And I think applying that to each individual client scenario, so moving away from block and tackle to that concierge personalized experience, um, allows us to stand out.
That's awesome. I love it. And it is so true. The first thing I tell when I'm coaching, I coach as well as being a real estate agent for over 35 years. But one of the things it's accountability, it's communication, but it's authenticity. Don't
Mhm.
if you're not going to connect with everyone, right? We're all different. We're all different people. We have all different backgrounds. We have all different connections. We're at different parts of our life. You mentioned you weren't married yet. I'm married and have two grown kids. Like we're all at different phases in our lives, and we do different things, right? People have different activities and different hobbies, and so but you will connect with the people who authentically are meant to be what you said, your vibe, and whatever. It's that is how we connect with people. So I guess I'm going to skip down to my other questions. So one of my principles is realtors are colleagues, not competitors. And clearly, we're on a mastermind with realtors from all over, and we're all sharing all of our expertise. So, how does that resonate with you? We're colleagues, not competitors. And how are you leveraging? Because that, I think, was one of the things you said in your mastermind. How are you leveraging your relationships with other realtors?
I think it's so I got goosebumps when you said it. It's the collaboration aspect. So my as me as an individual, I love to collaborate. I probably overshare sometimes where I shouldn't share that information, but it also goes back to the authenticity standpoint where I'm very confident in my ability and we're different people. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if we're going head to head in a competition with the seller, they're always going to choose from their perspective what they feel is best for them. And that doesn't bother me at all. I lost a listing here recently, and she felt what was in the best interest of selling her home was choosing someone else, and that's fine. I can accept that, and it's connecting with your tribe and the collaboration. I think when it comes to building the agent side of it and relationships, it is being able to share a new perspective. I think I look at it from scaling my business standpoint is, and this is what I learned at these tech companies, is something that once took 20 years to build. Well, by leveraging technology, I can build that same thing in probably 10. I can reduce it. But I don't get there without learning from other agents on scenarios. So being able to reach out to agents on the other coast of Florida, here's what I have, 25 years in the business, what should I do here? And we're experiencing that right now on a very large referral. It's numbers I've never been a part of. I'm very grateful. It's a career deal.
Nice.
And reached out to them and say, what would you do in this scenario? I've never been a part of this ever. And we called five agents, and they all said the same thing very quickly as well. And I think that goes back to 20, it's reducing that 10 years. So being able to learn, it's one of my favorite things about Compass is the network and the openness to sharing, just like yourself, openness in these masterminds to share from an experience standpoint without
Mhm.
asking for anything in return. And it's little nuggets for me. It's not necessarily this big thing. But when I can gain a little nugget, I can reduce that 20 years to 18 to 17 to then hit my goals.
Absolutely. I know when we launched a real estate company in 2009, and social media was, I wasn't really doing social media. And of course, when we started, all of a sudden we said, we have to get into this social media. We're starting a company, and we're not going to start, boots on the ground, advertising, marketing, and print. It's like we really have to embrace social media. So I remember when I first started, and that was actually in 2009. And so now, as a 5-year agent, it's you have so many tools. I mean, too many probably. We have so
Mhm.
many tools and different things at our disposal that we never had. I remember when we went to email when I was in the middle of my career. It's crazy how fast, yes, we can speed things up. And now we have AI. We'll talk about that later. Um, you, so, what were the nuggets that you called 5 agents? And what was the nuggets of information they said how to handle this deal?
It was very straightforward. So it's a deal that's just under 9 figures, and it's a referral,
Wow.
and it was a 4.5 years to get to the point of getting a cell phone number. We had
Oh,
brought an off-market opportunity, and the deal action happened on a second off-market opportunity for the purchaser. And we had reached out to these 5 agents and said, "Hey, here's what we have on our plate. What would you do from a referral standpoint?" And they all collectively said, "This is a standard referral fee. It's that simple." They all encourage always play the long game. This is how it works. And it was 5 individuals who we aligned with from our
mhm.
core and who we are, and certainly how they run their business is something we admire, and that's why we felt confident reaching out to them. And it put us at ease very, very quickly. So it was 20 minutes worth of our time to really, 40, they probably, the collective experience of the 5 agents is probably north of 80 years worth of
Yeah.
experience. And agents that do very large numbers, I'm just grateful they took our phone. We're in a
Oh,
position to have built the relationship where they take our phone call very quickly and are open to
right.
sharing that.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That is really exciting. I mean, it's yeah, it's big. I remember when I got my first big listing, and it's you're doing the same thing. It's still service. Like one of my sayings is, um, everyone's a VIP, from the service providers, from the plumber to the person buying the most expensive house. It's there. We're all people. We're all servicing people. Luxury is a service, not a price point. So
Mhm.
you're probably just at that higher end. You're probably just giving them good service and your concierge level service and being attentive, and the nuts and bolts, or you can always reach out to your broker or a partner and ask, how do I do this, and get right back to the person. I always tell newer agents, don't worry if you don't know, just say, I'll get right back to you. That's it. Don't panic, just I'll get right back to you.
I um, I had a mentor early in my career prior to real estate, and they had told me that I don't know is the answer of a fool. And that's always stuck with me, probably 20 years now.
That's
And
good.
it goes back to your point of I don't know is, get back to the individual and say, you know what? I don't have the answer right at this moment, but let me get back to you versus saying I don't know. Because then you're downgrading yourself from a skill
Right.
set standpoint. Individuals will appreciate that you don't know the answer, and you're simply going to have to find out, right? Because
Right. I mean, when
I
you
think,
say I don't know, you're basically saying I don't know and I don't care, because you
mhm.
can find out the answer for them. So it's like you're just saying I don't know, and you're ending the conversation. It's like you can always find out the answer or the best answer. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, well, let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back, and I want to talk about your mentors. We'll be right. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here with Brian Knox. He's out of Naples, Florida. So, Brian, you were mentioning a mentor you had. Can you tell us about any mentors, and do you think mentors are important to have?
Yes. So I think mentors are extremely important to have. I think everybody should have them. And I think you don't necessarily, when I think about mentor, it doesn't necessarily have to be business related. A mentor can be certainly on the personal side as well. I have different ones for all different aspects of life in general. I think for me, it started early in my career as well. So having a friend and mentor to this date that I stay in touch with that I met in the nonprofit. I think early in my career, I also met an executive coach through the fundraising aspect that he kind of took me under his wing. He built a career in New York, and he taught me his coaching program was called ACE, Awareness, Clarity, and Execution. In many scenarios, we all go from this awareness stage to an execution stage extremely quick, and we
Mhm.
forget about that clarity section. Um, and I believe gaining clarity actually allows you to move faster.
That is
But
so true. Gosh, you really have to have clarity and really have a point and a focus of what you're doing. You are aware, and you have to execute, but if you can dig a little deeper into that, because I think that is super important.
I think it's just when you think about it, our roles as real estate agents, imagine if someone comes to you and says, I want to buy a house, and you go right to, showing them houses without understanding what type of home do they like, what's the requirement of bedroom count, what price range are they most comfortable with. You're not going through the clarity stage or the consultative stage to really then execute at a very high level. And that's always stuck with me, both on the professional side and then also personal side as well. So as I've grown older, I think it was about my mid 30s. I'm 40 now, is when I really started looking inward and really having starting to really define who I am. Right, New York, you can lose yourself sometimes, and I think I needed that clarity to then move faster in my business, to have more clarity today when I wake up and execute. I think that's huge, 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 huge. I can't emphasize how important it is to gain clarity, especially
Mhm.
when you're in a business with people.
Absolutely. So I want to jump over to I was stalking you on Instagram to because I hadn't met you in person yet. Well, I haven't met you in person yet, but and I haven't really had a conversation with you. And so I was on your Instagram and it's and talking about social media, it's really important that we are on social media so people can get to know us. So even though I haven't met you in person, I already feel like I know you. And so that, some people don't really want to do social media. I mean, which is not, they just aren't comfortable doing it. But it is important so we get to know our authentic self and who we are and, how does that resonate with someone else. So I noticed that you have lost some weight. I mean, you look different, but you had lost some weight and you'd gotten more toned in definition. And so tell us about that because I think getting into a healthy routine and looking better and feeling better in real estate, you kind of have to be every day when you get up, you have to be so focused because it's you or nothing. I mean, you are, and in life and how you want to feel and fit and be fit and healthy, that's all you too. So both of them actually go hand in hand. So tell us about your journey and how did you lose the weight and tone up because that is really admirable.
Thank you. And I agree with you. They do definitely go hand in hand. This industry can be very difficult when, especially with the emotions involved and such, the financial decision and impact of purchasing an asset.
Yeah.
So my journey started December of 2022. So I had some bad blood markers, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, and my primary care doctor indicated I didn't drink enough to have a fatty liver. So I started making some improvements in early 2023 and had lost some weight. Blood markers improved a little bit, but not drastically. And then I just got to a point where I made a mental decision. And I came to the decision that I wanted to hire a coach. And through the network, there was a few agents, Steve Halpern out of New York, Compass agent, and Justin Martinez out of Manhattan as well. They both used a coach, Jacob Zemmer, and he's based out of Westchester County, New York. And really, I liked their results, knew their stories and their journeys. So I reached out to Jacob, and the moment or after our first call, I was like, "This is my guy. Straight shooter, New Yorker at heart, no BS. It's about a formula. It's how my mind works." So I think a lot of agents in general, we struggle with knowing where to start. And if you can just give me the playbook and I can plug and play. So we sat down and here's my goals. Here's the nutrition that fits those goals. Here's the strength training program that's going to align as well. So I didn't have to think about what to eat and I didn't have to think about what to do when I went to the gym. I just had to do it. So I provided him the awareness aspect of fixing the markers and the goals. He provided the clarity on how to get there. I just had to execute. And I can do that. I can do it very well. Um, and started the journey June 1st with him as a trainer. It was a first phase of cutting weight. My goal, I was started at 217. My goal was 200. He
Wow.
he encouraged me to get down to 175. As I fast forward to early this year, we end up adjusting the goal to lose 40 by 40. I already evolved into that, and I end up losing 47 pounds by my birthday was in March.
Oh, wow.
So I got pretty low. I was pretty skinny. And then we went into a maintenance phase and then a lean bulk where I've been putting on muscle. So I've gained probably 6 or 7 pounds back.
Right. Because you're so
And my blood markers are the best they've ever been. My blood pressure
wow.
readings are the best in 25 years. And unfortunately, I've encountered some injuries here as of late. So I've been out of the gym, which has been a little difficult.
Yeah.
But holiday season, it's always about just maintaining and getting through.
Right.
But it's been nice. It makes me feel good. I'm in the best shape of my life. I think
So
it
great.
provides additional clarity when I wake. I'm not as sluggish. If I don't sleep well, that sluggishness doesn't affect me at all. I'm still clear-minded. Alcohol is very limited, but it's really taught me the importance of what you put into your body, which is a choice, and how it
Right.
impacts us on a daily basis. So it started with really prioritizing myself so I could show up for myself before I could show up for my clients.
Absolutely. And that's so important. I usually leave this to the end, but since we're talking about health and wellness, and being physically fit, I'm sure you have one. Do you have a morning routine and what is it?
You know what? I could probably get better at a morning routine. So it was a couple of years ago where I would sleep in and not get up right away. And now, when I do wake up naturally, so whether that's 6 a.m. or 7:30, it's mostly around 7, but I get up and go. Once I'm up, I'm up. Um, morning routine is just shower. I don't work out in the morning. I've never been someone to work out in the morning. I get the most amount of work done probably between the hours of 7 and 10. So in those 3 hours, I can get 6 hours worth of work done, just being really focused. Afternoon trails off a little bit, and then I end up. I've learned throughout this journey that my appointment at the gym is an appointment with myself. That is
Right.
on my calendar. It's not moving, and that is my daily commitment with an appointment for myself with it.
That's great. No, that's super important. So back to the coach, Jacob who coached you. Is he a business coach and a health and fitness, or just a health and fitness nutrition coach?
Just the health and fitness.
Okay. And how did I think you said he doesn't live in Florida. Was it calls daily or weekly or what was the program like?
Yep. So his program was the first like consultation video where I saw him in person, and then there's an accountability aspect. So I
Mm.
had to weigh my food and log it, and then
I
I send it to him every single morning. It's the first thing I do in my morning. I guess it's a part of my routine. It's
right.
7:30 is when I get the text to send screenshots of what um, making sure I have three markers that I have to pay attention to is calorie intake, protein intake, and fiber intake. And that's
Okay.
it.
That's awesome. Well, my husband was saying there's hope after I showed him your video, so I'm gonna have him call. Okay, let's go to commercial break, and we'll be right back with Brian Knox. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio, and we are here with Brian Knox. He's out of Naples, Florida. So, we were just talking about your health journey, and I just want to congratulate you. It's so important that you got your health in order and for you and your family, and just to make you feel so good and also to perform even better in your career. So we were one of the things as we were talking about with that is accountability to yourself. So accountability in real estate and to yourself, super important. And I just love that word because I just feel like I'm about to starts coaching someone this week. And I said, this is your homework before I meet you. And usually I just keep helping and helping. And eventually, maybe they'll want to do it or not. And now I'm changing. I'm going to be a little harder. So this is your homework. If you get it done by Saturday, I'll meet you. If you don't, then we'll have to postpone because I find so much with newer agents that they want to be successful, but they don't want to follow, they won't follow through. You'll give them all the tools, but they won't follow through. So accountability being one of them. What are some key qualities or skills that you believe are essential for a real estate agent to be successful in today's competitive market?
Ooh, great question. I I think there's a lot you need. Um, what comes to mind first here, consistency,
Hmm.
discipline. And I have the professional sales background selling to small business owners, selling to enterprise level businesses. This is the hardest role I've ever done.
Really?
Um, because of the project management aspect of the role, and then incorporating all the different emotions that you experience throughout the client's
Mhm.
journey, it's tough. Um, so I think it requires a lot of discipline. I think it requires also a lot of self-awareness. I think the modern real estate advisor has self-awareness, and it goes back to, and this is something I prioritize. So my other two coaches, and I consider them performance coaches, is two therapists for different reasons. And I think the more I can learn about myself and my life's journey and what impacts that, and really answering the question why, the better I can show up for my clients. And I think that's an important skill, and it can be tough to look inward. It can be very
Yeah.
difficult. I think if you're in this real estate industry, the allure of making a quick commission or a very high dollar commission can blind you from this is about relationships and it's about the long game. My brother and I are focused on building our brand. And I
Hmm.
think in order to build a good brand, you have to know what you care about most and what your clients care about. And in order to really understand what you care about, it starts with looking inward. And that
Right.
intersection of both of them is where you build that brand.
Right. Absolutely. No, it's so important. So let's switch over to, in your opinion, what are some common misconceptions that people have about the real estate industry, and how would you debunk them?
That I'm here to open doors. I'm not a door opener. I'm not transactional.
Right.
I think that's a misconception. I think it's a misconception that a real estate agent could be available at any hour as well.
Mm.
Even I think this industry allows it, but at the same time, I'm human. Texting me at 8 p.m. for something that needs to be involved in a week is you're probably not going to get a response to me unless circumstances require a response.
Right.
Um, so I think that can be difficult. And how I'm debugging it is I'm just simply communicating the boundary up front.
Right.
I'm going to
Very
ask the
important.
client the preferred communication method. I'm going to make them aware that I have a family as well, and post 6 p.m. that unless there's certain circumstances, I'm probably not going to be available. And I think that just goes back to having clear expectations, setting them up front, and letting them know where the boundaries are.
Absolutely. Yes. I think if you set it up front, once you start to work with them, I mean, other things are, well, how do they like to be contacted? Text, phone, email. Different generations like to be connected, getting connected with in different ways. I know I like to talk on the phone. Text is quick. I'm not fond of email, but whatever it is they want, you kind of have to, work within how
Mhm.
they'll respond to you quicker. Yes, it's just so different from millennials to seniors and how they like to communicate. But for you personally, or for us as agents personally, letting them know, I'm an early riser. I'm up at 4. But I also, after 8, I kind of just, I'm tired and I can't, obviously, if something's going on, I'm going to be available to the client, but I tend to wind down earlier than, probably most. But I'm up earlier than most, so I get a lot done in the morning. But
Mhm.
yes, I think setting the boundaries, and that was something when we were newer agents, I was like answering the phone 24 hours a day. And that was a long time ago now, but it is, and that's super smart that you are setting your boundaries and letting them know. And they respect you for that too. It's, I'm not just going to be sitting there, answering every call. During the podcast, it's 1 hour, and it's so weird how my phone's ringing, and if the phone's in my hand, I'm going to answer it because I believe, just I like to get it done with. If I'm available, I'm going to answer, and if I have to call them back, I can let them know I'll call them back. but it's crazy how when you're on a podcast, it's 1 hour uninterrupted, so you can't communicate. So now I have this a client, she's in her probably in her 80s, and I said, I'm sorry, Manette, I can't get back to you during, I told her after, I said, I'm on a podcast every Friday for an hour, so I can't return your call. And last week, she was, before she knew this, the phone was just ringing off the hook, and I'm like, I can't pick up the phone. So if you let people know what you're doing, it's definitely good for both parties. So how do you stay motivated and handle the inevitable changes and setbacks that come with being a real estate agent? Setting goals, like setting goals and different things. So tell me how you stay motivated and how you get organized, keep organized.
It's probably an ongoing battle to keep organized.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a dreamer. I'm in the clouds. I've always aligned to being a visionary, think big. I want to change the world type stuff. I think that's what I fell in love with at these startup companies and
Uh-huh.
really changing the perception or changing what was possible with it. And I fell in love with it. So, I mean, that always keeps me motivated to have big dreams, big goals. I think on the daily basis in how I stay organized is I think once I started looking inward and really understanding where my anxiety comes from and what could help with that is just structure.
Right.
I'm not super, super rigid. I mean, I worked with somebody years ago where she would have every minute planned out, and
Wow.
I'm not like that, but I do like to have structure and be on top of it, so to speak. So if it's inevitable, curveballs are going to come up. I'm dealing with several today, several that didn't happen that are going to lead to more curveballs over the next couple days. And I think being organized allows you to move faster with it
Right.
versus what I see sometimes in this industry and you get caught up on it is, well, I'll just take care of it tomorrow. Well, I'll just do it tomorrow. And that's an excuse to you're telling yourself that excuse, well, tomorrow piles up
Oh
and
my God. I'd
tomorrow over
never.
tomorrow ends up piling up as a mountain and then you're not organized, then you're behind and the service levels go down.
I can't even imagine putting stuff off tomorrow. I'm all about getting it done right away. I mean, I can't, that's like yeah, that would make me panic if I was pushing things off. I like to handle things right away. And sometimes it's not fun stuff, but if you handle it right away, it's over, right? It's just like
Mhm.
done. So some people really you said this woman puts everything. Does she write everything every minute in a calendar? How is she how is she organizing her day? And how are you organizing? Are you writing everything? Now, do you work with an app, some kind of a program, or just on your computer? I love to know how people organize their days.
Um, so my day always starts with my inboxes. So I like to structure most things into my inbox. That's my central command system. Um, there's various notifications, so I'm always going to ensure if I missed a text from the night before, I didn't respond, I'm following up with my text in the morning, any notifications, because I get several from several different places, and then I hit two inboxes and clear that out so that's how it starts. And then depending on the day and what needs to be accomplished, so really looking, my role a lot is our marketing efforts. So ensuring that we're executing on our farming strategies. Um, some of my things don't involve the day-to-day listings. There are some responsibilities, and then we're navigating over back into managing everything out of tasks. So that will be something in the new year from an operational standpoint. So it's really that inbox and then the task list. What helps me stay organized as well is I always have a notebook.
Okay. My husband's
So
been on a notebook too. I started keeping things in my calendar and my phone, but the notebook is very helpful to be able to refer back to. Now, do you and your brother have a shared calendar?
yes,
Oh, okay. We haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know,
yeah,
but that probably helps, and it's probably more tech savvy than that we're willing to go to.
yeah. It's been an evolution of it, and I think it's one of those things. If a client calls him or a client calls me, it's clear when
Right,
we're available, and
right.
the task or the activity requires the both of us is that we can set the expectation appropriately with the client when we are available.
Right. That's great. That's no, it's you really have to be in sync. Is Are there any specific apps or programs that you use just in real estate in general? It doesn't have to be just organization.
From a software perspective,
Yeah, yeah.
so Later helps us a lot in terms of planning out our calendar,
Okay.
social media
And,
calendar. So I just
and
got off
that's
a call with
is that what you
that's
do? You plan your social.
Yep. So we have some assistants there from think of her as a project-based chief marketing officer. So I just had the call with her prior to this, and we walked through our January content
Okay.
that we strategize and plan out the captions and the creatives, and then I'll input that into later. So January, I don't have to think about executing. It's done automatically. That's a huge time saver.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, I also use two AI tools. So I use ChatGPT, and
Oh
then I
yeah.
also use Jasper.ai.
What's that?
That
Another AI?
It's another AI. Why I like them is their lane is marketing copy.
Okay. Jasper.ai. Take my
Mhm.
notes.
So I use them a lot, and I think that's just very helpful in terms the and it goes back to where I see a gap in our industry, especially with like listing tactical stuff like listing descriptions.
Right.
Is if someone reads a listing descriptions, I think it's a lot of feature dumping. And
Mm-hmm.
I was taught a feature dump, if you want to feel how someone or what someone feels when they read something where it's just the features, is go to the nearest trash can and dump it on your head. That's how they feel.
Right.
Um, so it's really allows us to speak in a marketing voice because the goal is to get someone to raise their hand or take an action by calling us or calling their other broker. And it's that simple. I want to create this emotion that drives
Right.
them to raise their hand. And
Right.
Jasper helps us do that.
Okay, I have to try
For
that. I'm so excited. No, it's true. When I've been using, I guess, Chat GBT, and how many times do we write 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath with a family room? Blah, we write the same thing over and over again. So when you and so some people who haven't used AI yet, so you write in some basics, and then it takes it and just makes it so beautifully. It just comes back so beautifully. It's why would you not use it? I know some people don't want to use it, but I think it really elevates the emotion, like you said, of what we're selling. And with Jasper, I'm excited to try that because it sounds like it's made for real estate or just all
it's
kinds
not
of.
it's not made for real estate. It's more for B2B businesses, but there are
Okay.
templates that I use within it that are applicable to kind of a content strategy in real estate.
Oh, okay. So speaking of AI, do you use AI for social to plan your social media?
In what aspect?
I haven't used AI for social media, but I've heard people have used it, so I don't know. Actually, I did once. I said write 5 things and whatever the question was, and it shot out 5 things, whatever my topic was. So for marketing, for posting.
Yes, so I'll use it to create a framework.
Okay.
So we have our specific content buckets that align to our brand. So I'll plug that information in and ask for kind of a framework of a calendar.
Okay, let's do
So
it. So tell us what are you asking it, and what is your 5 points or for your brand?
yeah, so our content buckets are golf living, 1 plus 1 equals 3, which is a differentiator. Um, Top listings. Um, so it's the value, our entrepreneurial story, and then market intelligence. So our brand is very much data driven and technology obsessed. Differentiators are the 1 plus 1, so really maximizing our strengths, and then being entrepreneurs as well. So being able not only the story from our parents being entrepreneurs, but Jason and I always being in entrepreneurial roles. Because I was taught, here's the territory, go. That was it. That's the plan. Just go. You had to start from scratch. You had to figure it
Right.
out. And I think if you don't have that mindset on how to build it from an entrepreneur aspect, you would have failed.
Absolutely.
So that is helpful, and that is a cross section between our previous sales experience. So also kind of understanding how to navigate and negotiate and know where leverage is. So that's some of our buckets. So market intelligence, you're going to see data and stats, entrepreneur story. You'll see like, stories about dreaming big or what we're moving fast on. The golf course living, as Jason and I grew up playing golf, we worked at a golf course. Our number well, our the number the neighborhood where we have the majority of our listings, we in 36 months we took it from 3% market share to 40%.
Wow. That's
So we tell a little
cool.
bit of that story, but also understanding the nuances of selling in a golf course community with the memberships here locally. Naples is the number one golf capital in the United States. We have north
Okay.
of 90 golf courses, and there's different types. And from a purchase standpoint or lifestyle standpoint, they could be different on what makes sense for the individuals if they're purchasing and or selling, the buyer personas. So we'll start talking about that more in 2025.
That's incredible. That's so cool. So, do you guys play golf and meet a lot of clients while you're playing golf? Do you get a lot
I
of
think
people?
the majority, we still have connections to courses here locally. So a lot of times we play in the summertime. The
Hmm.
farm where we have majority of our business is there's different groups that play, and they'll call us up last minute. Hey, someone canceled. Can you make it? And sometimes that's at 6 p.m. at night. Can you make it at 8 a.m.? And Jason and I have an agreement if those come up and the schedule
Right.
allows it, that he'll go play.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to connect with people. And that's
Absolutely.
it. That's all it
Absolutely.
is. It's a casual thing. They'll learn about the market. They'll ask us questions. It has produced referrals.
Yeah.
Um, it's produced referrals from what we call brand champions. So
Hmm.
individuals who have fallen in love with us as
Right.
people that are confident to refer their friends, and they've never done business with us. And it's like they're not selling anytime soon either.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's one of the things I always tell people when I'm coaching. Do what you love, and you'll meet people that are doing things that you love and they love. And, if you're likable, they're going to refer you. I started years ago doing charity work. There was never a connection to me that charity work was going to lead to business. I was just doing what I loved, helping people. And I remember the first time I got a listing and from someone in my charity. I couldn't understand it. I was pretty young, and they had obviously bought their house from someone else. So I would assume they would have gone back to that agent. And I knew that agent. And so I was like, wow, that is so cool. And then over the years, I would just do what I love to do and things would come my way. I never had any formal way. It was just kind of my business grew authentically and just serving the community and helping whatever the kids were involved in and just being out there. And now I'm doing this leads to my next question for you. So now that the kids are grown, I just joined a BNI group, a business networking group, doing the mastermind with you guys. And I'm trying now, after 35 years, to get more formal and learn from people like you, younger people who are now, you're coming in when you have all these tools. So at your disposal, what are those things? Instead of retiring, I'm like, okay, how can I get better and grow even more now? I'm not retiring. So what do you do to grow your business? We've touched on some things, but networking groups or, open houses, are you calling people? Are you farming? What are the things? Give us 5 things that you do to grow your business.
Ooh, great question. I love growth, so I could probably talk about this topic for hours. What we're focused on, so we've made a couple investments here this year from a growth standpoint and capital investments. And first off is transaction operations. So behind the scenes is let's get
Mhm.
our transaction ops in order. So writing out a playbook, it's going to be very clear in terms of the steps that the either buyer and or seller go through, showing value back to them. I'm excited for that because Compass's new Compass One tool, which is the client dashboard, aligns to having your transactional operations in place based on the stage of the client. We're testing it out right now. So very excited for that. We're then investing into brand. So investing, taking Matt Spangler's course called Full Circle. Um, Matt's course Full Circle is what I learned when I worked for technology companies and the kind of the model. And for me, I learned it as called the flywheel model. He calls it Full Circle, but you the short version is you're you're attempting to attract the audience that is meant for you. So there's
Mm.
higher conversions and you're building a repeat and referral business. So as the flywheel spins faster, so take our farm, we apply it to our farm. First year went from 3% to I think it was 12, then to 19, and now we're at 36. Or no, I'm sorry, 40%.
And is this in the
That's that
community? Is this in the community that you live in, or where is your farm relative to where you live?
relatively to where I live, it's 12 minutes away. So
And
it's
is it,
considered
I assume, golf course communities or community or communities?
correct. It's a golf course community.
Okay.
So that allows us to focus there.
Yeah.
The other investments are also into new development. So our large deal is in the new development ecosystem. So we'll launch a new development website either late January or early February. Um, that's something we're super excited about. And then we also invest back into our affinity groups and our agent network and relationships. So, being that we're in a second to fifth home market, it's important for us to understand from other agents what's happening in their markets, especially off-market opportunities as well. So we invest. We have a marketing line budget to do that. I'm fortunate to be single and be able to travel a little bit easier on the go. And then we have built the affinity groups. So the mastermind that we've met on is one of them.
Hmm.
And I believe it's five we're a part of that are aligned to our brand. So it's
Okay.
authentic to our brand. Another, a part of one of those is Compass Resort. So I was recently asked to join the board of that to help grow and scale, which I'm very excited about. It's focusing on the second home experience for the client, which is something the majority of our business are second home clients. So it's just investing into that to grow. And those are all things I'm very excited about. Sometimes nervous and anxious with the amount of work that
Yeah.
needs to happen in order to put some of them in place. But that's for sometimes for me the fun part is because it's figuring out. I love building things, so it's the
Uh-huh.
puzzle person in me of like trying to find the different pieces and putting them together to see if they fit. Some don't fit, then you have to adjust, and I really enjoy that.
Absolutely. No, one of my taglines is my son played lacrosse all his life, and watching him on the field, I wrote a blog. I love writing. I write on inspiration. Something will come and I'll send out a blog or I'll write something. And I remember watching him on the play field and I said, real estate, it's in being a realtor is very much like an athlete on a field. You have to pivot and adjust. We're always
Mhm.
pivoting and adjusting. So I love that. And I love, you were saying how you love the growth and the puzzle. And for me, it's like connecting the dots, right? We're always connecting the dots. And whether you're working with buyers or sellers, there's always all these pieces you're putting together. And it's very fun. And I think that's what makes us love it so much and continue to do it is because it's actually really fun. Of course, it's stressful and it's emotional. And, we put ourselves out there every day, but it's very fun. And there's so many different aspects of it. So I love that. So your brand resort second to five, 2 to 5 homes owners. So are you,
Mhm.
when you said, cause you said on the mastermind and you pointed it out, but I like to elaborate. So are you going to meeting different realtors in different resort towns, or when you're traveling to meet other agents, who are you going to visit?
Yeah, so I'm a data junkie. I like to look at data and spreadsheets and filter through it. So we have identified our feeder markets using public record data. We're fortunate because we're in the second home market. You can look at mailing addresses. So there's a reasonable assumption that if someone has their mailing address listed different from the physical address down here, the address down here could be a second home. So we know where those markets are. So we started this 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, of proactively reaching out to agents in those markets, visiting offices, and just building relationships. And that's it. Haven't connected with every single agent that I've met, but then I've connected with agents where I've seen, for an example, I saw one agent 4 times in 4 months in 3 different cities.
Wow.
And we've now we have hour-long conversations on the telephone every few weeks.
That's
So just
awesome.
built a relationship, and for me, stuff like it's not about getting a referral. It's we're sharing each other knowledge, and we become friends. If you get a referral, great. If
Right.
not, it's not. It doesn't. But it's like that's not my purpose and intent. I mean, well, I guess that's a part of it, but that's
Right.
not the
Right.
sole
But you
reason.
also enjoy it. Yeah, it's we're similar creatures, so it's fun to get to know people who are like you and who have similar interests and similar goals. So I totally get it. Like I believe it's just like we're sprinkling seeds. My husband calls it fairy dust. You're just out there helping people, sharing, and it comes back in different ways. So just because you met so and so doesn't mean that that's going to be a direct referral. I mean, already while I'm an automatic connector, I'm always trying to connect people, and I have someone to connect
Mhm.
you with by just talking about how you go all over and you're working all those different markets. But I'm going to connect you to Zach Milton, who was on the podcast, and right when we get off the show. But there, yeah, it's just really fun to connect with other agents. So we have to wrap it up, but I want to have one more question. Can you share with us one of your most memorable experiences and how it impacted your career?
I'm gonna go so top of mind because you talked about charity work. Um, this really impacted me, and it's somewhere when I want to get back to, and I think I'm gonna do something here next year with it. So I used to work for the YMCA, and I used to be responsible for writing grants, and I had never written a grant before. It was my first role out of college. Didn't really know what I was doing. So I would go down to our childhood care center and to get for inspiration. And I would just sit there with the front desk staff and hear the stories as the parents would come in and drop their kids off. Because the role of the grant were to subsidize scholarships for childcare. And I didn't make a lot of money working at a charity at the YMCA at all. But by far, I made the most amount in terms of the most self-rewarding job I've ever had.
Right.
So it kind of goes back to the story about losing a little bit of myself when I worked in New York, circling back around, looking inward, and finding my purpose of making a difference.
Mhm.
And I believe I have that skill set and the ability to make a difference. And I see myself giving back more next year, specifically to local charities. I still have some of those contacts, and it warms my heart. Like being in a
Yeah.
position to, especially next year, to be able to donate
Yep.
monetarily and be okay. I want to get back to that place. So that was a memorable experience that has always stuck through me throughout my
Right.
entire career.
Yeah, no, it feels so great. Obviously, feels so great to give back and to help others, and I think that just pretty much encompasses realtors because we're helping. We never know if a deal's going to come together or if they'll win the deal, or if it's. But we're just putting it all out there to help them have a good experience, and it can't you can't be in real estate if it's only about the money because you won't have the passion to do it, and you're not going to connect with people if you're not truly authentically wanting to help them. So how will we connect with you? I found you, but it's you and your brother are a team, so tell us how our audience can connect with you.
Yeah, the best way to connect with me personally, or both ways, myself and our team, is Instagram. So Brian Knox, my handle is at BK17577. And then if you search Knox Brothers Compass, that is our team page, which is Knox Brothers underscore Compass, and you'll find us. I'm more active on the team page versus the personal page.
Okay.
But I'm learning to get a little bit better at the personal stuff.
I know it's a lot to juggle.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. It was wonderful to have you on my podcast. I look forward to meeting you in person soon, and keep up the good work. And I've been in this 35 years. So if you ever have any need or questions of me, I'm always here to answer your questions as well as the questions of our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate having the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.